Hello, lovelies. Um, if we're being realistic, well, first and foremost, welcome to my channel. Um, Channel doesn't have a name because it's not created yet. I would consider this what we might call in the biz a test run. So what that means is most likely the only people seeing this are my best friends because they're loyal and they love me and they're willing to put themselves through something like this for me. So I digress. Um, I'm just doing this because I'm bored and I want something to do, and I wanted to use my little mini microphone. And how cute. Pink. I have my surgery coming up, and I really have nothing to do right now, and I don't want to sit in my headspace because I've been doing pretty good of some might say avoidancy. I just say it doesn't really hit me yet, so it's not really impacting me like it should. I'm pretty usually good at processing hard things and dealing with it. I haven't had a good cry, or really technically a cry about the cancer at all, but I'm sure it'll come, especially when the surgery's here. But I'm very much so like focused on what needs to get done type of thing, so it'll probably be after the fact because I'll be so worried about like making sure like I follow the rules before the surgery and doing everything I need to and like, you know, that kind of stuff because that's kind of how I am. Some might say type A. Um, but anyways, besides that, today really didn't do much. I wasn't feeling all that great. Um, I voted, which was very important, very impactful, and I voted for Kamala, obviously, because I'm a therapist, which means I'm an advocate, and I have to consider those that I need to speak up for, my clients, and for all reproductive rights, and for the people of color, especially those in my life, and just women and those that identify as women and those that were born with female anatomy and anybody really that the other side is trying to oppress. Because, anyways, besides the point, but I could go on all day about that. But I'm glad I got that all out of the way also because my surgery is the day after the election and I don't have time or probably the energy to be voting that day. So I wanted to make sure that that was something I did because it was very important. So I'm glad I got that out of the way. It is kind of crazy to me that my surgery is the day after the election, so like the world might be up in the air at that time, which is a little also kind of scary. One thing that I'm hoping is a benefit of out of all this because there doesn't seem to be really any is hopefully because of this I won't have such a girthy wide neck. Oh, I don't know, it's girthy, like thick, very thick neck. Maybe even get a little of the chub away, but I don't think I can blame that on the thyroid cancer. But a girl can dream, can she not? But, anyways, that being said, a lot in my mind, a lot to consider, but I think for me, I more so think about the people that are around me and I don't want them to not be okay, so that's given me something to focus on and being able to focus on others probably is also an avoidance tendency of mine, but it's one that works for me. So, caring for others is how I cope. Also, jokes, but that's the drama. And if you can't joke and laugh about it, I don't think you're past it. So, it also makes me feel better about things. And clearly, my family is seeing as how everything to them they're able to make light of. Not in a bad way. For those that may think that that's what I meant, it's not. I appreciate it. Um, in terms of how life's been lately, everything's been pretty like normal. I got a job, the second one, obviously, because I'm still a therapist, but um, it's weird because it's like starting and like the interview stuff and all the things is starting like in the worst time possible. But as per usual, I was very transparent and let them know the stitch and like basically told them how it is and like let them know like this is something that's going on, and it's if they're not okay with it, then unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about it. Can't change the fact that I have cancer or that I have to get it freaking thyroid removed. Okay, this got off trail. I wasn't coming to talk about this. I mean, I wasn't coming to talk about anything, but anyways, bed break sponsored. Was that some good ASMR? Anyways, also let me know if you think this tiny microphone makes my voice sound different, because Bill said it did. But I think I'm also like changing my voice to like fit the microphone. Like I'm talking very low and slow. I tried to do these videos on Snapchat. I've also tried to make this video very many times. Um, Embarrassingly so. Um, but you can only do it for so long, so I had to keep retrying and redoing it, and then I finally got one I liked, and then it stopped me mid-sentence because it can only go like a certain amount of seconds, and I was like, damn. Also, it had like filters, and on this it doesn't, so now I'm like, damn. We gotta stare all the imperfections. But being on this app and like videotaping this, I realized that I like a little side profile, just a little, not too crazy. Um, I also feel like I'm tired lately of, and hear me out before we get all up in arms, of specifically Netflix, but like just streaming and like movie companies in general, that everything lately is ghost related or time travel, and it's the same freaking plot, and it's predictable and it's overdone. And the ghost ones are so freaking sad. Like, first of all, don't even get me started on Boo Bitch. If anybody knows, they know. Like, ridiculous. And if anyone would like me to put and do a whole thing about how I feel about that, I will, because I have lots of thoughts. Just like I have lots of thoughts on Lola from Rain. That could be a whole series in and of itself. Besides the point. I wonder why that's the like current mainstream genres of like plot devices. Like we have um the new one that just came out, Time Cut, which was cute. Don't get me wrong, and I like the two actresses in it. Very pretty, very cute. Love the representation. Think they're very good actresses. But it's very similar in terms of plot and idea and storyline, and even kind of a little bit. I can go into that more too about like the who the killer is. Into the one with like Kiernan Shipka, where she goes back because when her mom was a teenager, there's a bunch of killings, and like Kiernan Shipka goes back in time, and like when her mom's a teenager, it's kind of very similar to that. And then there was another one that's almost so also similar too, but I can't remember it because I don't think I watched it, but like I saw a trailer on it. And then you have Boo Bitch, the iconic Julian the Phantoms. We need a second season, but that's beside the point. Um, you have School Spirit. You have that new movie, which also Paintless, who she loves to be in these ghost movies. And then there was another one that I was thinking of. But you get the point. Like, there's a lot of them lately. Um, it's like Netflix finds something that like works and then just makes a million of them. Like, no, we need something new. Also, my little heart can't handle these ghost ones anymore if they have bad, sad endings. Which you should know that it's not gonna end great. They're dead. Like, unless it's like a supernatural one where they like obviously ghost when they're supernatural, but you know what I mean, where they like bring it back or something. Like, it's not gonna have a happy ending. So I don't know why I tricked myself into thinking that. Um, But anyways, yeah, thoughts, considerations on maybe why that's going on, or if you feel they're too much or not enough, or you found them interesting. Like I said, I could do a whole thing on the Boo Bitch and that plot device. Also, there's certain like actors in Netflix. I feel like that Netflix like uses in a lot of their shows or video or like movies, like specifically Netflix. And I'm like, why? Like not like good ones, you know what I mean? Like whatever. Besides the point. Um, I say all this because I watched Time Cut twice yesterday. Once on my own, and then I recommended my sister watches it, and she was like, "Oh, watch it with me, blah blah." So we watched it, and also the plot holes and the issues in the plot, especially with time travel. It's like you really need to make sure you consider all the angles, because you're gonna have people like me that overanalyze and are gonna think about all the things you did wrong and how things don't make sense and get upset and annoyed about it. So, something to consider if you're gonna be making a time travel movie. Also, why? Just why? But it was interesting. If you want to go watch it, it's very cute. Um, it's a good like movie to like watch while maybe you're doing something else or something. Um, and plus my girl Key's in it from Outer Banks. She's so cute. I love her. I'll watch anything she's in. I'm trying to think if anything else TV wise lately has been of note. I mean, the problem is I don't really watch anything new because there's not really anything new on TV anymore that's interesting. I just watch like old, already finished TV shows or movies and rewatch them. The only good new movie that's been out is Twisters. If you know, you know. If you feel it, chase it. Um, but yeah, I love that movie. It's become my personality for the last few months since I watched it. Um, Understandably, and you guys could see it, could know why. That's all I can think of in terms of movies and TV shows. Pop culture has been failing us lately, honestly. Um, Books also, book talk recommendations have just not been it. They don't hit. You see a few sentences and they grab you and you're like, oh my god, that's so interesting. Or like, oh, like I need to know what goes next. And then it's like that's the only interesting part of the book, or they took it out of context and that seems actually horrid. Or the whole book is just like, and don't get me wrong, I started reading historical romances as as a 10-year old and classics as a 10-year old, and then went to fanfic. So like I know range, I get range. I can read trashy books, I can read hard books, I can read English books, like, you know, like English Victorian era books. But not to brag, but just to say that like that kind of stuff doesn't bother me. It's just these plots are, first of all, they're copy and paste, and then they're not interesting, and then they're like, it's like they rush it. So nothing has really been catching my eye. Um, I read this one book. It was cute the other day, Fang Fiction. It was interesting. The plot was very different from, you know, any other type of books I've ever read. In that, like, I don't want to talk about it if people want to read it, but oh, there's my three friends. But anyways, it's about this girl, and she's obsessed with these books, these vampire books, and she is also like some type of like professor, but she like does research or what. No, she's not a professor. No, sorry, scratch that. That was very like wrong of me. She was in school for her to get her PhD, so she was very good at like writing like dissertations and like research and that kind of stuff. And like she had to drop out because like something really bad happened to her, and like that's a big plot point in the book. Anyways, an interesting part of this book is she's like obsessed with these vampire books, and she's like so obsessed, and not like in a creepy way, but like they're kind of just like her escape because she's had like a shitty hand dealt recently, and that made her drop out of her PhD program. And she, I'm just trying to remember it. I also don't want to spoil it. She basically like writes these um like fan boards types things, and also just like posts these things about like how the vampires in the book must be based on real people, and like those real people might be vampires, and that vampires are real because like the characters in the book's names are also real life people's names, and there's like pictures of them throughout the years. And this isn't really a spoiler because it happens pretty early on, and the vampires do wind up being real. And there's also witches in the book, and it's very intriguing. Um, I will say it's a little like gimmicky, but it's very cute. I flew through it. Um, Very entertaining. Very different. because I like the whole angle that it's like based on these books and like there's a whole fandom, kind of like it kind of gave like Twilight, and then like people believe like like Edward was real, and then come to find out Edward's real, and you meet your like hero, and then like also the Volturi would then be real, but then it's like who wrote these books? Oh, you also don't know who the author is, and that's the whole big thing. Like no one's ever met the author. No one knows how the author knows all this stuff because it makes no sense. Because like the whole thing is this like the books are called Bloodfield, and the fandom's called like Feudies, and like feud, like fight, and the whole book takes place on like the vampires are all sent to this like magical like land slash island kind of thing where they're stuck, like they can't leave and they've been there for years, and like basically how like two different clans of vampires happened because like they didn't want to be under control of each other, and then like the history behind that and all that. So like everyone that like believes the vampires are real or like who's writing this book, and like even just the fandoms that don't believe that it's real and just think it's like an interesting book, that like it's a big thing about like who's the author. So um then it gets you thinking like this author has like a hero character and a love interest and then like a villainish character. So but everything's not what it seems. Get it? Shout out. Oh, I also started rewatching, not rewatching, started watching the new Wizards of Waverly Place spinoff or reboot or whatever you want to call it, and so cute, so cute. I wish Selena Gomez was in it more, and they brought back like Mason and stuff like that. But I didn't finish it, so and it's not like over, but I wish they would have like started with that. Because it's more about like Justin and his kids, and then this one girl Billy, and she's so cute. Um, and the style that she has in it, very cute, very Alex esque. Um, but anyways, yeah. So that was cute. I got through fairly quickly, but I wouldn't say it was my favorite. I wouldn't say it was anything grand and spectacular, and I think that's a problem lately. Um, I also am a mood reader, even though I read a lot and I read often. Um, I'll start books sometimes, and I just want to be in the mood for it, so I have to start another book. So when people are like, "Oh my god, you have so many books. Why don't you read what you already have?" Not in the mood for them. Then it's not their time. I also saw this really depressing but also like beautiful. I don't know if it was on TikTok or Instagram. And it was this girl and it was this painting that she made. And it was like gothic and dark. And it was like this like ghostly girl sitting on like a ledge looking out. And it was like for all the books you won't finish on your TBR because you don't have enough time in your life. And it was just like super depressing, but also like super beautiful, but also like I have like 600 books on my TBR, and that's just like 100 are probably physical, and like 500 are probably just in my Kindle saved. But a lot of them are book talk recs also, so I'll probably wind up wheedling down based on reading the book details and being like uninteresting. I'm trying to do that more, but it's also easier to read on the Kindle because I can just lay in bed in the dark and read it. And then also, I read it faster on the Kindle. I don't really know why that is, but I love the feel of holding a book. My thumbs get so cramped, like holding a book. So I was also thinking about Christmas recently, and I'm disappointed with the gifts I got. Like I just don't feel like they're enough, and I'm not excited about them. Like I'm usually very, 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 very excited to give the gifts I bought to the people I love because I think them through and I know they really love them, and like not that they wouldn't love the gifts that I got already, but like their main gifts that I got them, specifically my sisters and my mom because they're the ones I basically finished like shopping for. There's no wow factor, like nothing that I'm like, oh my god, like I killed it, slayed it. I am the true Christmas gifter. So that's a little disappointing for me, but that's a me problem, I guess. I'll probably wind up getting some more stuff to just up the ante, I guess. Um, except this year sucked, just plain in general. obviously. I mean, getting a cancer diagnosis can't really beat that for a worst year. But it wasn't even that, it was before that. It's just been a very hard year. Everything's just been hard and depressing, and the ups and downs have been very up and very down. And I don't know, the holidays just aren't holidaying this year. Like, they just don't feel the same. They don't feel right. They feel rushed. And I feel like it's not the true spirit. So I feel like it would be really good for this year for the Christmas to be a little better. And that's why it kind of bothers me that the gifts kind of suck, just because it's been such a shitty year. I want to end it with like a good Christmas. And like I am Christmas. Like, I love Christmas. Like, being born 5 days before Christmas really makes you feel like you got Christmas spirit bleeding out your pores. I love the smells that are associated with Christmas, the foods, the just the atmosphere, the joy, the time of year, like all of it, like just the Christmas spirit. Gingerbread house making, wrapping. I hate wrapping gifts, but like just like the idea of wrapping gifts and like the different types of like my family. We each do our own type of wrapping paper. So for us, last year mine was Candyland. The year before that, I think mine was like My Little Pony. Um, there's just stuff like that. So I'm hoping I have to think of something good, up the ante, make it feel Christmassy. Um, Especially with the weather, it just doesn't feel like the holidays, you know. And my family doesn't celebrate Thanksgiving for one, the obvious reasons, colonization, and that it's not something to celebrate, and two, stuff that happened with my dad. That's besides the point. And also just we don't, at least not anymore. So I don't think we're doing anything. Like, my grandparents won't be here. My brother won't be here. My dad is doing his own thing with his other family. So it's just me, my sisters, and my mom, and which is great, and that's how we like it. But so that's not really like holiday for us. And Halloween this year was good, but it didn't feel really Halloweeny, and I didn't get to like go all out for a costume because I wasn't really feeling all that festive this year, just because everything happened like literally that week. Um, so I'm hoping Christmas is a little better. That got really depressing. But my point is, I love Christmas and I want it to be good, and I'm gonna think of some ways to make it better. And probably will wind up buying more gifts that I can't afford, but it makes me happy. And honestly, money is fake, so who's gonna stop me? Also, I didn't have anything with that. Also, I gotta say, when I do that, is it satisfying ASMR or is it just gross and weird? Let me know if it tickles your ears. Um, Honestly, shout out to whoever is watching this and watch the whole thing. Um, I don't know why I'm sitting here recording this whole long video. It's really just a stream of consciousness, and honestly, if I could get paid to do my stream of consciousness, I would, because my stream of consciousness is never ending. Like, yeah, there's pauses and there's little breaks, but like, there's always something. Like, when people are like, I don't know what to talk about, I'm like, how? Like, you have thoughts, don't you? Well, that sounded rude. Obviously, like sometimes some people like they don't have thoughts 24/7 and they like the silence. But and don't get me wrong, sometimes I like a good just hanging in and being around people and just sitting in silence and doing your own thing. But just like having another presence, um, I actually like need it for being real. But there's upsides and downsides to that. In that I'm so used to being surrounded by people that I need it for the most part. But then for things like this, I have yet to be alone. So I haven't really got to sit with my own feelings and how I'm feeling with things. Don't get me wrong, like I do, but like if I really wanted to like break down, I would have had to do it like right when I woke up after Bella and my mom left, and then like before they got home. So I don't really feel like breakdown should be on a time schedule. But I honestly haven't felt like it either, so that's not really the problem. Um trying to think. I mean, I should probably just end it and keep trying to think of things to say, but I also have nothing better to do, so you're welcome because I have all the time in the world. Um, you know how they do in videos where they're like, oh, they pose a question each time and then like they have their viewers comment on things. Um, I like that. I like that it fosters interaction. I like that it's giving people a chance to like give their opinions. I like even more so when the creators comment back or like bring it up in their next video and kind of like answer people if they have like a question back. I guess I just like people that like foster like connections and interactions, but I guess that's the therapist in me and like the building of rapport. Um, but yeah, I like that. I also like intros that are like all inclusive but like cutesy. I'm not very creative in that sense. So like if I were to do a channel, I wouldn't even know what the name would be. I also don't like know like a lot of things enough to like not copy people because I very much in like a creature habit. Like don't get me wrong, I'll watch new things if I find them, but I don't really like go looking for like YouTube stuff and stuff like that. So I wouldn't know if it already exists. Like I said, I'm not very creative, so I'm worried that like it would already exist because it's like not that out of the box. I also don't know if I were to do something, if it would just be like, am I strictly talking books? Am I talking lifestyle? Like, I kind of want to do one where, like, I do different types of sodas and then alternatives to sodas because, like, some people are trying to come off sugar or, like, from, like, people are trying to cut back because soda's not good for you. But, so, I would be interested in doing stuff like that. Or even just videos of, like, talking about, like, my opinion on things. I think the other problem is I don't want to be famous. I want to just do this for fun because I like to talk about things and tell my opinions and reviews and explain things. I really like to like explain like the plots of things, but I don't want to be famous because I don't want lots of people having an opinion on my looks and my voice and my opinions and stuff like that. And like I don't want what comes with fame, and I don't even care about like the monetary value. Like yes, I would want money, of course. I'm not crazy, but I wouldn't really like. That's not like my go-to at it. And the only reason I really want it is for funsies and PR packages because I don't know if anyone knows this, but Amazon had like this Kindle launch party and a bunch of book influencers got to go and got free Kindles. Like that's enough for me. Like I would do this stuff just for that or like arcs and stuff like that. Just that kind of thing. But if somebody writes something mean, I'm gonna cry. And I'm not the type to like one, I'm not good at makeup. Like I can do like where I can cover like do like the bare minimum where it doesn't look like crazy like a clown. But I don't know. I wouldn't be able to like do a full beat crazy like fake eyelashes for videos to like look good in them. Like this is what you would get. Like maybe not like a frumpy stretched out neck Mike Best Buy sweatshirt. I maybe would like at least put on a presentable top and maybe not have my hair just in a crazy bun or have a pimple patch on. But also, that's real, you know what I mean? Some people like the realness, but then you got like the trolls or the people that are like anti plus size and anti sometimes just anti woman. But oh, so this isn't really going anywhere, so I'll talk about this. So I matched with this guy in Hinge and he was like, "Oh, like you're gorgeous, blah blah," blah doing like the normal like hype up stuff to like get you interested to like want to talk to them. And I'm never on there. So he was like, "Oh, I see like you're never on here. Like, do you mind swinging that number?" So I was like, "Whatever. I don't care about that kind of stuff." So I just give it to him, and we're talking, and he was like asking me about like what I do and stuff like that. We were talking about like our jobs and where we're from and stuff like that, like town wise. So like if we could see if we're close, and he was like flirting like a good amount while we're like doing these normal general answers. And then out of nowhere, he's like, I can't believe like you're single type of thing. And I'm like, well, believe it. Like, and he's like, I just don't know why. And I'm like, beats me. You let me know. And then he was like, asking me how long I'm single for, and blah, blah. And I was like, a while, like years. And he's like, no situationships, nothing. And I was like, nah, like that's not my thing. And I was like, how about you? And he's like, I've been single for 3 months. And I'm like, okay. I didn't let it like stop it. Like I was like, okay. And then he was like, so basically saying that like he's done situationships, but he's over them now. Like he doesn't want to do situationships anymore. Like he wants to try. He doesn't that he's not in that phase of his life anymore. And so then he asked me if I have kids, and I was like, no. And he said he didn't either. And I was like, he's like, okay, good, because I can't like date girls with kids anymore. And I was like, do you have a thing against children? And he's like, no, I just like dated them and with girls with kids, and it was messy and complicated, blah, blah. I was like, okay, like to each their own, I get it, blah, blah. And then he's like, I think I could change your mind. And I was like, about what? And he's like, you know what? And I was like, no, like I know what I want. Also, at this point in my life, like I don't want a situationship. And in my head, I'm like, I thought you just said you were over situationships, and now you're trying to basically just start up a situationship. I don't get these men on dating apps. It's like, go on an app that's specifically for that. And then he was like, oh, alright, so you just clearly want a relationship. And I was like, yes. I'm pretty sure I made that very abundantly clear. And he was like, oh, like, what about just being friends then? And I was like, yeah, that's fine. Like, I'm not gonna, like, what? And then he was like, what do you like to do? And then I answered, and then never heard from Mance again. And it's just like, at this point in your life, because he's grown, what? First of all, why lie? Second of all, you clearly got a lot going on in terms of ideas and priorities, and I just don't get it. Why are you going on a dating app saying that you want monogamy in a relationship in your dating profile? Texting and saying you're over situationships, but then trying to start basically a situationship and getting mad when the other person wants a relationship, and it's clear supposedly from the get-go for both of you. Boy, what? Teach their own, I guess. I mean, thank you for not wasting my time and telling me right up the bat. I mean, I should have known there was like, besides all the stuff I told you, there's some other like very telling features. Um, I also am at the point of I don't know why I'm even on answering or even looking at Hinge right now. Like I have to deal with my cancer, my surgery right now. But sometimes a girl be bored, and sometimes a girl needs attention, and sometimes a girl needs to be hyped up. But it was just weird, and it just gets you thinking. Like these grown ass men, like what do you think? Like or the ones that say they're still trying to figure out their dating goals. Figure out what, King? Figure out what? You've been fucking around since you could, and now all of a sudden you're confused and you don't know what you want. Just say you still want to fuck around. But also, then they're also the first ones to be like, oh, um, women these days aren't don't just be in relationships; they just be fucking around. I don't find that attractive. How are they supposed to get in relationships with every guy wants just to be fucking around? It don't make sense. It don't add up. Like somebody make this make sense to me because it don't make sense to me. But yeah. Also, I'm pretty sure I'm just sending this to my friends at this point, because one, it's very long, and two, it's just very personal. Not that I'm not okay with being vulnerable, because I've learned that vulnerability is strength. Shout out to my girls. But I didn't know where I was going with that. Don't know where I was going with that. But vulnerability is strength, and oh, I know what I was gonna say. There is a certain person that is playing the long game, and I don't know how to feel about that. So there's that. If you're curious for more, I will let you know if you message me and ask me about it. if you got this far and you messaged me and asked me about it, I'll know not only did you watch it, but you are invested. And I love a loyal fan. Just kidding, a loyal friend. Um, but yeah. I said that because maybe I will one day in the future, like if I become famous, post this and be like, this was the first ever video. Shout out to my train wreck of a first video and just literally stream of consciousness saying everything that comes to my mind. Um, which I don't know if it's just because like brain fog and fatigue, but I feel like I normally have a lot more going on up here in terms of just like thoughts and like craziness and like absolutely abhorrent thoughts and that fact that they're just like they're wild. But or maybe this is what we call growing up growth. But I don't know about that because it's also kind of boring. But also, let me know if there's a specific book that you don't feel like reading and you want me to read for you and then tell you the whole plot and just explain it to you in my own way. And yeah, I like to do that. I think it's fun. I've done it for Ariana a bunch of times. And I don't know if it's just because she's my biggest hype girl or because she actually finds it interesting and thinks I'm good at it, but let's test it out. Let's treat it. Somebody give me a book recommendation that they don't feel like reading but are interested in what happens. Um, but yeah, this has gone long enough, so I will be signing off. And by that I mean I will be turning the video off and laying in bed reading probably a book. And by that I mean probably scrolling on TikTok for an hour and then reading a book. Peace out, Girl Scouts. Love ya. Miss y'all. Hope you're doing good. Hope you'll respond to my questions that I asked a million of that I don't remember all of them. And hope to see you soon. Love ya. Bye.